Wherever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to all. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. Today, I am accompanying a frequent guest speaker at UU Amherst, John Snodgrass. Yay. John is a prolific author, informative and entertaining speaker, and instructor of religious studies. He lives in Buffalo with his wife and 4 children, and we're really glad you're here, John. And how about you come up and offer a word of welcome?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know why. I guess I thought the introduction was just going to go on and on and on. So I don't even have my tie on. I'm not even dressed for this. Okay. Pay no attention to the guy tying his tie. I learned this. Well, I learned it not looking in the mirror, but when I was in high school, my best friend knew how to tie a tie. And so I learned it by watching him look in the mirror. So still, when I need to tie a tie, I see Patrick's face in the mirror, doing it right. And how'd I do? I get it? Good, thank you. Welcome to this place, which we make holy by our presence. These doors are open to all. Bring your brokenness and bring your power. Bring your early morning aches and your fatigue and your energy. For here you need not hide nor pretend nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, where the human is celebrated, where compassion is strength. Welcome to this place. Together, we make it a holy place.
For those gathered in the chapel, I urge you to actually turn off your phone, if you will, or at least airplane mode. We have folks who are joining us on the live stream, and our Wi-Fi can be a little unpredictable, and so we'd like them to have as much of a cohesive experience as you do in this chapel. If you need a little extra hearing support, we do have assistive hearing devices, headphones, and little gizmos. So they're just at the usher station at the back of the chapel, and Mickey will be very glad to help you with that should you need one. Throughout the month of May, we are considering the topic of creativity, and our opening words offer us a bit of perspective. It's entitled, Creation is Messy, by Reverend Laurel Mendez. Creation is messy, inconvenient, and often uncooperative. Take a look at the cosmos. Go ahead, close your eyes and imagine the stars. When you do, forget the Franz Joseph Haydn spacious firmament bit. His images are far too tidy. See the real mess the universe made of itself 14 billion years ago. All of creation is still trying to clean that up. It's called the Big Bang, not the Grand Coalescence, for a reason. Mistakes were made, probably, and incorporated into the whole anyway. And wonders never cease. Here we still are, muddling along 14 billion years after the fact. Now, if you've closed your eyes, open your eyes and look around you. You are surrounded by the most astounding, miraculous wonder of all, each other, community, life ongoing, caring about life ongoing. So it is, so it shall be, because we do care. Our gathering music this morning can be found in the gray hymnal. It's page 188. Come, come, whoever you are. And good news, there are enough of us here to do it as a round. That is very, very good news. So we will sing it together twice, and then we will sing it as a round twice. Linda DeLore, can I call on you to be spontaneous and help lead this group? Otherwise, it's just a disaster as I run back and forth. So we will be rising in body or spirit or whatever it is you brought with you today and singing together. Again, together twice, crazed twice. It's okay to sway. All together. Group one. You may be seated. Woo. That was amazing. Didn't that feel good? Everyone say yes. Yes. I knew it. So we move from a time of welcoming into a time of centering as we employ the elements of water and fire to create the sacred space where we can be fully present. And so we begin with an acknowledgement that our church is built on holy ground, land that was nurtured and cultivated by those who occupied it before us. And so we offer this libation as our giveaway, as we honor the struggle of all people seeking justice and peace. We seek the courage and wisdom to heal the wounds of the past and build a better future story together with all our neighbors and fellow creatures. It is our custom when we gather to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or a vessel that symbolizes the gathered community, and it is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I invite you to share with me our chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, we bring our whole selves into this sacred time. As John reminded us, this place, this time that is made sacred, not by some external force, but by our presence here together at this moment in time. And in this time, in this space, in this container that has been created, we lay down, if only for a moment, concerns and our sorrows, and we symbolize, if only for a moment, in the placing of a stone, all of those things and the joys and even the humdrums. Maybe you're thinking, I don't have any of those things, Reverend Michelle. That's okay, you brought yourself. You brought your presence and the reality that you are embodying. And so we bring all of that. And the way we ritualize that is at a round table. And it's really messy because there are a bunch of people and there's a little bit of space, and it's a beautiful thing to watch people in this beautiful dance of moving aside and gently wandering over to one of the sides. You don't have to wait in line. If there's an opening, really, I mean, it's like the mashed potatoes at the family gathering. If there's any left, it's yours. So with all the solemnity that I was trying to create, I do encourage you, I invite you to bring your whole being into this time and in this ritual. Rick. I place a final stone in recognition of those who are joining us online, who are just as much a part of this community as those seated in this room. Let's share a few breaths together. As we expand our circle to include those who may not be present, but whose presence we feel. We bring into our circle of love and concern those who are in pain, either in body or spirit. Those who are lonely. Those who are feeling lost and overwhelmed. Those who may be despairing, and those who have been wronged. Today we pause to remember the rippling effect of the tragedy of the Kent State student massacre on this date in 1970. It would seem that there is wisdom in the adage that those who will not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We pray that those who are meant to represent us will find the courage to defy the rise of authoritarianism in our nation. May we remember the lives that were snuffed out because they questioned, and may we take up the work so that their lives and their deaths were not in vain. This day and each day, may we find the strength and the courage and the joy to carry on. If you'll sing with me, Spirit of Life. Never drop the technology. So John, come and help us with the invisible Wonder Box. Hey kids, are you interested in knowing what's in the Wonder Box? I wonder what could possibly be happening up here. John always has good stories.
Well.
Are you on? Yep. Look at y'all.
All right. Oh. Well, good morning. How are we?
Good.
I do not have the Wonder Box today. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna use the Wonder Pocket today. There is something here. Today I brought a good friend of mine. This is William Wallace, the protector of Scotland, but he's back, and this time he is a rubber ducky. I don't know who came up with this idea that William Wallace should retire. I have a son named William Wallace, so a friend of mine went to Scotland and said, this is what you need in your life. Do you have a rubber ducky? Have you ever played with a floating bathtub toy? And so I wonder, but then I wondered, like, why? Why would William Wallace come back as a duck? What else could he have been? And I'm wondering if a toy company said to you, hey, we want to make a bathtub toy animal of you, what animal would you choose?
An elephant.
An elephant. A tiger? Yeah, like a floating tiger in the water? That'd be great. What animal? What do you think you would be? That's all right. That's all right. Well, you've got some time to think about it. But yes, I've been thinking about this today because we're going to be talking today about the ocean. And that is one of the places that our earliest ancestors came from, was the ocean. So it's time for you guys to go to religious school. And then we're going to talk up here about some sea monsters. So, I know it's gonna get a little bit scary. So you guys can do something fun. So we'll see you soon. But have a good time.
All right, let's sing our children to their activities. Before John comes up, I would like to share a brief reading with you from Howard Thurman. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of the holy, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in good times or in tempests, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. And now, John, the pulpit is yours.
I live in this blurry swirl of mass and motion. Even when we've cleaned our house, it is like an ocean with a rising tide and an undertow, and the waves roll in and out. Someone's left mitten has disappeared. But look, the sandal we searched for all summer long is suddenly back in the middle of the floor. No one knows how. We scramble in the morning looking for William's backpack. We're all looking. Somebody says, "Oh, I found it." Wait, no, that's Jackson's backpack. From 5th grade, the one that disappeared. And look, it still has his homework. Anything you set down can sink and later resurface anywhere, but I have my own private little island. It's on top of the bathroom medicine cabinet. I'm the only one who can reach it, so that's where I keep my toothbrush so I don't get dragon breath at night. My little scissor, because my eyebrows get kind of wizardy about once a week. Razor and some shaving cream, because my cheeks get kind of wolfy about once every full moon. So all of my protective talismans and charms live on this enchanted island where the elves and dwarves and the hobbits and little goblins can't get to them. It's best for all of us this way, or else things could really go just full on Lord of the Rings in my house. Well, we got the house professionally cleaned, and they did fantastic, but they wiped out my little island. Each one of these little things just disappeared into some other nook or cranny or shelf or drawer of the bathroom, and I'm still getting it back together. And it's got me thinking, it's as if some sea monster just came and swallowed my little scissor. In the biblical book of Job, God is hanging out with one of the angels. And one of them has this job of being disagreeable. Since ancient Near Eastern kings were always surrounded by cronies and yes men and spin doctors, they had to have one advisor in the cabinet whose job it was to always take the other side of the debate. And this adversary, this advisory position was called the Satan, and it's from this that we get the word Satan. But this was centuries before the church invented the devil, who exists to make the church look good by comparison. Anyway, God was chatting with his buddy, the angel Satan, and said, look at this guy Job who loves me no matter what and whatnot. And the angel said, I think he only loves you because you're always giving him stuff. But I'll bet that if it was all stripped away, he would curse you. And God, who I guess is kind of in like a gaming mood, says, go for it. And Job loses everything. Lock, stock, and barrel. Fire from the sky burns his flocks. A house collapses on his children, and his body breaks out in a rash. And this poor guy is left with nothing but a piece of broken pottery to scratch his itches with. Then his 3 best friends show up, and they try to talk him to death. And when he's witnessed and withstood all of this without renouncing his faith, God finally shows up, but doesn't apologize. God launches into this long, long speech to let this guy know how small he is. And the whole thing ramps up to a big fish story. Like big fish of biblical proportions about how God once caught a gigantic, unholy mackerel, and it goes on and on, and I've edited this down, but still, it's going to seem lengthy. God is towering over Job and says, can you draw out the Leviathan with a fish hook, or press down its tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in its nose, or pierce its jaw with a hook? Will it make supplications to you? Will it speak soft words to you? Will you play with it like you would with a bird? Or will you put it on a leash for your little girls? Any hope of capturing it will be disappointed. Were not even the gods overwhelmed by the sight of it? Its sneezes flash forth light. Out of its nostrils comes smoke as from a boiling pot of burning rushes. Its breath kindles coals, and a flame comes out of its mouth. On earth it has no equal, a creature without fear. This goes on and on and on. Like if your, uncle ever told you a big fish story. This is like this, but bigger. But in the story, a great sea beast is not Job's problem. It's not the Leviathan that killed his children and flocks and afflicted his skin with boils or whatnot. It's the Satan. Or really, since God empowered this angel to torment this innocent man, Job's problem is God. More specifically, God's pride. There was no reason for an enlightened deity to take such offense and accept this bet. And God actually wins the bet. Job stays true, but nonetheless, God shows up, and we really have to hand it to Job because he's been totally ruined, and now he's got to sit through this story about how God once caught a fish this big. And when God says this big, he can reach really, really far. But battling a sea monster was like a rite of passage for young storm gods. Baal, the indigenous Israelite lightning god, had to battle Yam, the primeval sea. Or in one version, his sister had to do it for him, but then he took all the credit. Ra, the Egyptian god, had to battle the serpent Apep, the chaos serpent who tried to swallow the sun each day. Marduk, the Babylonian thunderlord, had to battle the saltwater goddess Tiamat, his own grandmother, who had taken the form of a giant crustacean. And he split her to pieces like a clamshell. Half became the platter-shaped world, and the other half became the dome of the sky. That is the Babylonian creation story of creation from chaos. It comes from splitting this clam, but it also comes from fighting your own past, fighting your own grandmother. This, I think, is the clearest of the stories, because in the Babylonian story, Mumu Tiamat, Mother Ocean, was the primeval sea, the original great power of creation. And Marduk's battle with the primal goddess is clearly a sign of a male mutiny, after which the defeated fertility goddess became a symbol of destructive chaos, while the warrior god became the symbol of destructive order. like the Hydra or any number of Greek mythical monsters. We may think of these monsters as male, but the Leviathan could represent some prehistoric sea goddess. Still, for those of us who remember the old claymation Clash of the Titans and smirked at the lion, release the Kraken, it can still be hard to take the Leviathan story very seriously. But this was a really big deal, the Leviathan fight. It was a major claim to fame back when, this is going to get hard to explain, but see if you can follow this. The idea of God, the calculating master craftsman of the clockwork universe, that idea is just a couple of centuries old. Before that, God had been more like a potter who took the primeval muck and shaped a large clay platter, the flat earth, which for a long time had been just the Middle East. And before even that, God had been the local thunder boss of Israel, a nation the size of New Jersey. And it was kind of a dump like New Jersey. But at least it wasn't a total mess, because God kept the chaos of the sea at bay by battling this monster. So before the local God of Israel achieved epic Springsteen proportions and became a global franchise, back when he was local, this Leviathan fight had been a really, really big deal. But as the Bible developed and the conception of God grew kind of greater, more abstract, more powerful, it became undignified to envision him mud wrestling this monster with all of creation at stake. The temple priesthood didn't want like King Kong versus Godzilla, or King God versus Kongzilla, or whatever. They were chanting priests, not screaming wrestling fans. So they downplayed this Clash of the Titans until it kind of faded into the background. And finally, the priesthood drafted their masterpiece, the 7-day creation story in which the master landscaper just dictated the development from chaos to creation in a calm, orderly manner. God doesn't have to get his hands dirty in that story. He doesn't even need hands at all. He just gives instructions and then inspects it and says, it is good. If we read closely in that Genesis creation story, sea monsters are actually right there on the checklist. But it's all part of the plan, and they pass inspection with never a mention of hazard or friction. And the priesthood who wrote this new and improved creation story got final editorial control over the Torah, and so they put their story first, right at the beginning. And then the whole finalized Torah got retrojected back into the dawn of time, where every jot and tittle inevitably was predestined, so that these stories in this sequence became older than the earth itself. Some of us believe this and some of us don't. And some of us are totally lost, and that's okay. But we still have a hard time, I think, imagining that the Israelite conception of creation was fluid. And for centuries, it drifted through phases, and it evolved, and it changed, and it developed before getting set in stone as timeless scripture. So the final sequence creates this odd situation, because now, when we encounter the Leviathan legend in the books of Job, Psalms, and Isaiah, we say, wait, didn't God make the sea monsters and say they were good? So why all this gladiatorial thrashing and slashing and bashing? In some scriptural texts, the Leviathan has already been killed and dismembered, his carcass left out for scavengers. And then in other biblical texts, it's still alive somewhere. Some rabbinic commentators have sought to smooth this inconsistency by saying that once upon a time there were 2 Leviathans, and God killed the female and castrated the male, which seems doubly cruel. Or some say it was like a catch and release, and God caught this thing and then kept it as a pet that he plays with for a couple hours at the end of each day. fattening it up for a big fish fry to feed the righteous in the world to come. But whatever the story meant, we've got to remember this was before the invention of the devil, before the great beast of Babylon. This was when God needed a great enemy, before the introduction of religion's all-time greatest nemesis, the snooze button. Religion's battle with the primeval sea monster can sound like some phase from the mythical past, but it continues into the present. These days, the battle is waged in courtrooms and classrooms. Religion versus evolution, the theory that all life comes from the primal ocean. That's the shapeless sea monster that Christianity is fighting today. And it's a good fight, a worthy cause, because if we were to accept that all organisms are descended from the same original single-celled creature, the primates and pine trees, the portobellos and pond scum, the pufferfish, and the pests would all be our distant cousins. Really? Because I have a hard enough time believing we're related to Pennsylvanians. But if we acknowledge that kinship, that interconnection, even interdependence, then we would have to seriously reconsider the way the human race goes stomping around in the community of life. And that's a pretty daunting prospect. It's much easier to keep fighting a mythical sea monster, a formless darkness on the face of the deep, than to fight our own appetites for plastic and gasoline and these other things. The Inuit, the indigenous peoples of Alaska and parts of Siberia, believe that the icy depths of the ocean are ruled by a sea mother, Sedna. And various tribes have varying stories about her origin. Most agree that she was once a giantess, either disobedient or dangerous to her father, so he cut off her fingers and she sank into the deep waters. And her fingers became the whales and the seals, whom she still commands. And if the humans disrespect her, she will withdraw them all so far under the ice that the hunters will come home empty-handed. And they say that this ocean goddess looks like a mer whale, and that once a year, the tribal shaman must enter into a trance and send his spirit deep, deep into the underworld to comb her hair. And that this is what makes it okay. Well, that's a nice story. Instead of fighting the chaos, getting into some big mythical monster mash of Bigfoot versus Loch Ness or whatever, instead of battling the chaos, you learn to balance with it. In humanity's war to tame nature, it becomes clear it's not the great white whales that pose the greatest danger. It's the mad Captain Ahabs of industry and politics. Mother Nature doesn't need to be bludgeoned to death. Maybe she just wants us to comb her hair. Now I just need to find the comb that got swept away from my little island. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Our song, whoops, did I do this backwards? I did do this backwards in my book. That's all wonderful. You can't see my book. I think it's time for an offering of gifts and pledges, and it is a blessing that we are able to contribute in this way as we grow this congregation, as we take justice advocacy out into a world that desperately needs it. And so as the music plays, the ushers will be carrying baskets through, and the offering will be gratefully received. So we're going to sing, and we're going to use hymnals. It's page number 163 in the gray hymnal. It is "For the Earth Forever Turning," and once you have an opportunity to find it, I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. All right. We began our service with the lighting of a chalice, and now we extinguish the flame, not to quench it, but to return the flame to individual hearts, strengthened by this time spent together, so that we can share our light with the world. Please join me with our words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be seated for just a few brief announcements. As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is ready to begin. You will find many, many opportunities to get involved and take part. Some are listed in your order of service. You can always find them on our website, or just ask someone. There's always something going on. All are invited to stay for a special Quattro de Mayo chili lunch in the Emerson room immediately following the service. Parents, please note that in order to have enough tables for everyone, there's not a kid playing space, so just to let you know. Lunch is free, but we would never turn down a donation. Registration is now open for Summer Institute. Now imagine, if you will, a week away. All your food cooked by somebody else. All those dishes, same way. Thrilling worship. I'm one of the worship leaders. And an amazing UU theme speaker. Morning workshops to feed your soul as well as your brain, intergenerational fun, music, drumming, relaxing, so much more. And if this all sounds good to you, well, circle July 6th through the 12th on your calendar and see me or Linda Joy, and we can just rant and rave all about how wonderful Summer Institute is. Marjorie. Marjorie went years ago. It was a wonderful experience. Hey, right there, a testimonial. Thank you. So when I first went to Summer Institute back in 2003, we were still like crawling out from under rocks at that point. We weren't even quite human. It seems so long ago, but there you go. It was the first time that I had experienced Unitarian Universalism in a larger context than the 35 people in my church. And it was amazing just to know, first of all, that there are a bunch of us. And it was like instant friends. It didn't feel like going to somebody else's family reunion. It felt open and inviting. So really, truly, make it a thing you think about. So I mention that because it's part of a larger circle of Unitarian Universalism, because it's a regional. So it's folks from Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, really all over. Oh, and New York. So I mentioned that because in that wider Unitarian Universalist universe, our UUU, that's one tier. And then the next big tier out is General Assembly. So we need delegates for General Assembly. General Assembly is the gathering of Unitarian Universalists from all over the country and indeed the world to do the business of Unitarian Universalism, as well as enjoy speakers and workshops and just getting together for coffee with people you haven't seen maybe ever, but who are friendly and loving and want to be a part of your experience. So we need 3 delegates to represent our congregation at General Assembly to vote on things on behalf of who we are as a connected gathering here at UU Amherst. If you are interested in that, you can check in with me, you can check in with our board chair, Randy Kent, and we can help get you into that position. General Assembly is in Baltimore this year, so it is actually drivable. But it's also going to be fully online. So you could be a Zoom delegate with all of the credentials that someone in person has. So think about it. I can see you thinking about it. That brings me joy. Okay. If you would like to take part in preparations of UU Amherst's presence in the Buffalo Pride Parade coming up on June 1st, see a member of the Rainbow Coalition for information. And I do understand that there will be at least one of them wandering around after the service. You'll notice because there's, I think they're going to be wearing a rainbow lei, so it will make it easy to find. So many announcements. I said short announcements, and you believed me. I love you so much. We are passionate about justice here. It is truly the very heartbeat of Unitarian Universalism. So you will notice, if you're thinking, wow, I wonder what's going on in the justice world. A lot, first of all. We have a new magnetic whiteboard, which is by the bulletin boards, which is just all the things that are going on in justice advocacy in our immediate area and beyond. So take a look at it. Find out more about things and get involved. Oh, Michelle takes a breath. Because this is not as much of an announcement as it is maybe a proclamation. You may have seen on the news that the Conscience, the flotilla boat taking humanitarian aid to the starving people of Gaza, was bombed and disabled. The aid workers on board are safe for the moment, and the ship has not sunk. But the Maltese government is not allowing the ship into harbor where it would at least be safe from further harm. No matter what your politics are about what's going on in the Middle East, denying food and medicine to starving and dying people is a crime against humanity. If you would like to make your voice heard, there are flyers out in the lobby. It's just another piece of white paper with a whole bunch of writing out there, so you're going to have to find them. But there's a long table at the glass brick wall, And it just has information on how to contact the Maltese government to encourage them to allow that ship to find safe harbor. May you have safe harbor, safe, safe harbor. May you have safe harbor, safe harbor on your way. And now I invite you to rise and bow to your spirit as we sing our closing blessing. And don't forget to look around and twinkle your eyes at one another with a gentle smile, or really a full-on grin, as we sing the third verse. Travel light and travel easy till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. May the road rise up to greet you as you leave your past behind. I will think about you gently, and I'll hold you. Time to twinkle. Travel light and travel easy till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember.
Together we have sanctified this space. If you have found strength and comfort here, share some out there. Remember that you are blessed and you are a blessing, and you are not alone.
Go in peace, make a difference.